Trey, number two that we've been trumpeting for I don't know how many years, even before the podcast. The 12-team playoff should have been the pick from the very beginning.
Yeah, I think this season really converted a lot of naysayers there, right? I think a lot of people that were kind of on the fence or maybe very adamantly pro 4 team saw Florida State getting left out, saw the travesty of that decision. Honestly, like the more I thought about how the college football playoff played out, and I thought about the Georgia Bulldogs sitting at home, the more I thought, like they could have proven themselves in a 12-team playoff. And I know like that would devalue the SEC championship game, whatever. But for me, it's more worth it to have the best teams decide it on the field head to head across conferences. So, if you want to have a fun exercise, just think back, 10, 15 years at all the amazing players that would have gotten a chance to play for a national championship on a 12-team playoff field, right? Like just player after player that never got to make it to a 14 playoff now would have a chance. And that gets me fired up about the matchups that we're going to see. There's still going to be, a debate over the devaluing of the regular season. I know the argument is you can never increase the quantity of something or decrease the scarcity and also increase the value. I get that. But we're going to have a lot more fun in December. There's still going to be some fun bowl matchups outside of the playoff, but we're going to have a lot less opt-outs. We're going to have a lot more of these top teams deciding it on the field and eliminating the backroom debates that have decided the national championship for the last 10 years or so. I'm really excited about that. We get it out on the public, we get it out on the field, and we no longer have to just, take the words of committee members as gospel as much. I know they'll still pick the 12 teams, but it's way easier to debate 13 versus 12 than it is 5 versus 4.
Totally agree. The last thing that this sport needs is more power in the hands of folks over at the Gaylord. Now we don't know what the auto bid situation is going to look like. They've still got to rewrite all of that, so it's not like 12 at large teams, but the fact that you will have conference champions that get in that are automatically solidified in. But then in that case, you have the Georgias. Florida State would have been in, but you have even Oregon or Ohio State, right? Those teams get to compete. Those teams that pass the eye test as far as, hey, this team, given the right run, can win a national championship. Ole Miss, Penn State, both teams that probably deserve to be in that conversation to try and go win a playoff game, right? Like Penn State's offense stunk this year, and Ole Miss did exactly what I thought they were going to do to them in that bowl game. Some opt outs aside, Ole Miss had one egregious loss to Georgia on the schedule, right? The one that they got blown off the field. Outside of that, they looked like a team that could compete, that could win a playoff game and have a chance to maybe go on an upset special. That's what I think we get to look forward to in 2024.
Well, and on the scarcity note, Trey, like let's just take this to other sports for a second and see if we would agree this is the right system. Would we agree that the NFL playoffs would be better if we were watching, 49ers, Cowboys, and like Ravens and what was it, like Buffalo, and those were the only playoffs we got out of the NFL? Would we agree that's
No.
better? Like leaving out Kansas City in that, horrible game we got to watch on basically on ice. And leaving out teams like Philly or teams like the Lions, who they had that controversial loss to the Cowboys, and so now it's like, well, do they get left out because they had the same schedule and a controversial loss? You don't have to worry about that. You get to actually watch them play it on the field. And if the Lions really should have beat the Cowboys, well, you'll get to see that in a couple of weeks, and you'll get to see if that really is true. Or if the Cowboys or the Lions don't even advance, then they were both frauds, right? So like that's something you can see just in the NFL. Go play it out in the college game too. Put more teams in there. And yeah, some of them are going to be the Browns and they're going to get stomped by the Texans, right? And that'll happen. You're going to watch some teams get exposed as frauds. Maybe it'll be the G5 team that doesn't belong there. Maybe it'll be that, fifth SEC team that gets in because of SEC bias or whatever else. And you realize they never should have been there, but at least you get to see it. And at least you get to know for sure that the champion won.
Yeah.
And also, like, do we really want to see – and I love the regular season. I love the regular season. But so many of these conferences have become a few teams at the top who are elite, and they just beat up everybody else on their schedule. Do we want to see more of those, or do we want to see all those elite teams at the top of the conferences getting a chance to play each other? Or do we just want to pick like the ones that kind of look the best? Or like, I don't know, I just kind of like the way Alabama scored their touchdowns instead of the way that, Oregon scored their touchdowns, or the way that, oh, well, Florida State, they won with defense, but defense doesn't get ratings, so whatever. Like, none of that's interesting to me. I want to watch the teams play. I want to watch the good teams play each other and then dominate.
Especially now that we have super conferences and expanded schedules where it's not, the same formula of playing your division and a couple crossovers every year. You're going to get the discrepancies like we just highlighted with Texas and Oklahoma, how Texas has a much easier schedule than Oklahoma, where they used to play the exact same schedule. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see. I'm really excited to see, those teams get a chance to make an upset. And, the 12 seed is probably never going to win a national championship. That's not the goal of the 12 seed. The goal of the 12 seed is to win that first game and then see what happens, right? That's how we've treated March Madness for years. I know college football is unique and that's awesome, but it's never logically made sense that if you're going to have a playoff, to have 4 of 131 teams in it. That same percentage, guys, you know how many teams would make the NFL playoffs if we did the same percentage?
Like 1?
1. Yeah. Congratulations to the Baltimore Ravens for winning the Super Bowl.
You passed the eye test. We're just going to hand you the Super Bowl trophy. Now here's Usher.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's my nightmare. No, I agree. I think Trez, you led off this topic. I think a lot of anti-expansionists have quietly gotten on the bandwagon throughout this season, and I'm really excited to see what this playoff looks like in 2024. As you mentioned, starts in December 20th, I believe, is the day of the first round game. So we get this over a month of time, as opposed to just kind of 2 busy holiday weekends at the very beginning of the year.
Gracious him! How about